Hello, Dr. Atkinson and YouTube. For my CT 280 proposal, I'll examine the movie Idiocracy and how it pertains to the course content and what we have learned this semester. The movie begins with protagonist Joe Bowers, Luke Wilson, being recruited for a top secret military program, which would freeze the individual for a year, and this was designed so that they could freeze America's top soldiers and they can be utilized later on in war. But Joe was not selected because he was one of America's greatest warriors. He was selected because he's an average individual. And they go through great lengths to show how average he is through a bunch of tests. And they picked him because he's average. So Joe is kind of forced into this operation along with another individual, Rita, who's a prostitute and is looking for protection from the government. And she is played by Maya Rudolph. Unfortunately, the head of the operation is quickly busted for running a prostitution ring, and the operation is completely forgotten about. Wilson and Rudolph remain in hibernation for 500 years, resulting in the population becoming very stupid in the year 2505, due to the intelligent population choosing not to have children, while the unintelligent population continue to reproduce. After wandering around his new world, he discovers the world has collapsed because no one's smart enough to figure out any of the problems they face. As the movie progresses, it becomes quite obvious that people are attached to these materialistic things in society, and capitalism runs this. One of the examples of this is the product Brondo, which has completely replaced water. Everyone laughs at Joe because he asked for water and they think stuff in the toilet. Hilarity ensues when Wilson tries to explain that plants need water, and the government can only state Brondo has the electrolyte plants crave. Even CEO of Brondo does not quite understand that Brondo is not what the plants need, and a dust bowl has occurred in this fictional Earth because they keep feeding the plants Brondo rather than water. Wilson's character is identified as the world's smartest man because he is arrested early on in the movie, and he is taken through an IQ test, and so the President of the United States brings in Wilson so he can fix all of the problems because he's not smart enough to do it himself. Eventually, Wilson kind of fixes the problems, the movie concludes, but I think it's early to analyze the earlier parts of the movie because they pertain more to the course. The movie relates to course themes surrounding consumerism and the construction of societal archetypes. Idiocracy displays a bleak future with mindless consumers too dumb to fix anything. I'm not saying this is what modern society looks like, but a lot of people are attached to brands and products and are not seeing the little things in society. While this is satire, it is not without validity. With the population becoming increasingly attached to their devices and following consumer trends, it does raise some concerns on the accuracy of the movie. I'm not trying to say the population will become mindless imbeciles, but the reliance on technology has become a distraction rather than an aid, according to Michael Bugeja. Bugeja believes that technology distracts us from the real issues that plague our society. Like in the dystopia of Idiocracy, with the population distracted with the mass media, the modern population become addicted to technology. Idiocracy depicts a society in which all the consumers purchase the same products, consume the same media. They all wear the same clothes, they drink the same juice, and they eat the same food. As Dr. Atkinson pointed out in one of his lectures, popular artists are also conforming to accepted sounds and songs, so a lot of the artists are creating material that sounds the same. And those who do not sound the same face critiques because it doesn't sound right and the people have to adjust to this new sound. Author Bernadette Loacker believes that the neoliberal society has forced artists to conform to this new type of society, and human labor has to fit the societal archetypes to appease the people who want to purchase into this because it's capitalism. Comedian George Carlin, he uses humor to highlight some of the problems that capitalist society faces, especially America. In particular, his stand-up regarding Stuff and Dumb Americans, I suggest that you watch them. They're also on YouTube. They're pretty funny and relate a lot to the movie Idiocracy and some of the problems that we are seeing in society. The dystopia that is depicted in Idiocracy revolves around currency, and the population is driven by greed. You can see many of the people just want money, and they can't really think a lot, but they know they want money. In this society, people cannot afford things or being arrested for being broke. Well, this kind of sounds funny right now. This obsession with money is not so different from the world we live in today. If you do not have money, you cannot purchase into the capitalist society, and you become an outcast. And when you become an outcast, people look at you differently. A study has revealed a strong correlation between incarcerated young males and consumerism. The study shows that many of these men's lifestyles revolve around acquiring this material wealth and using it to display that they're not poor individuals, even though they come from a poor social class. They're kind of forced to fit into these archetypes, which they feel like people look at them differently when they're dressed differently. So they feel pressure to fit into this kind of society which values material wealth. While the movie is indeed a comedy and does show the reliance on technology in a bad light, it's still a good movie. I'd suggest you watch it. It does expose some of the cons of a capitalist society and the utter reliance on material wealth. As Zizek would say, people buy into this kind of, you're doing a good thing by purchasing something, and you kind of forget to see the bigger picture, and you kind of forget that, you got to be giving to humanity, not just using your wealth to help other people. You need to do hands-on activities to help other people.